Hello everyone and welcome to Nordic English Fly Tying. My name is Stefan and today we're going to tie Troels' høtyv with a foam shield. And this is just exactly the same fly as the normal høtyv, so if you got that down you can always add a foam back to it. I use a 3mm foam pad as I was told. This fly is meant for fishing on a fast intermediate line, so it's kind of like a booby pattern that's supposed to when you draw in the line, the line is gonna draw the fly down, and then it's gonna, go to the surface because of the foam. And it's been a really effective technique here in the fall and in the summer here in Denmark. And we got a lot of people asking how to implicate this foam back into the fly. So we're gonna make a video of it. So here it is. Let's tie the Troels' høtyv with a foam back. I'm gonna start out with a Eric's NS 122 light stinger hook in size 4. I'm gonna use a white thread, GSP thread. I'm just gonna have this cover the hook shank all the way down to the bend of the hook. I'm gonna start by tying in my tag. And this tag is just gonna consist of flashaboo and chartreuse. And I don't want it to be too broad, I just want it to be a bump. And I want it to be quite firm. What's it called? Firm. So I'm just gonna tie on top of itself here. Like that. I'm just gonna take a little more. I'm just gonna put the fibers between my fingers and make sure that the sort of aligned to make this tag. I can just squeeze it in between my fingers and just shift it to make it a little more teardrop shaped. I'm just gonna take these and put them down here, tying them all the way against this ball of dubbing, putting the rest forward and just tie it down. This doesn't have to be perfect, just gonna make this color burst back into the fly. And when I've done this, I'm just gonna connect some eyes. I'm gonna use some easy shrimp eyes in size extra small. Put them up all the way against the dubbing here. And just tie it down. See, I put it a little bit on the side there and just adjust it like so. There we go. And I'm just gonna take a couple of pieces of flashaboo flash in the same color, chartreuse here. I'm gonna do 4 strands of flash. And I'm gonna use approximately the same length as the fly plus an inch, something like that, and just put them all the way down into the tail here, like that. Cut out the excess. And then we're gonna take 2 rubber legs, silly legs, silicone micro mini legs from Fly Company. That's what we use in the set. They're adequately small and they're flat with a little bit of glitter, and we have them in chartreuse. So, and I'm gonna take these and I'm gonna tie them roughly the same length as the flash, just a little bit shorter. And if at all possible, I'm gonna take one and just put one on each side here, making sure do not take these wraps too tightly, because then these legs are just gonna stand up. Cutting off the excess here. Tying that down. Then I'm gonna take my cape, my 4B cape in ginger, and I'm gonna take one of the bigger hackles from the back here to make sure I have some long fibers to make my tag. And I'm just gonna take off some of all this fluff first. And then I'm gonna take a handful of these. I'm just gonna take the stem in between my finger here and hold them out. I'm just gonna grab the fibers and pull parallel away, like that. And then I can take these fibers and collect them in between my fingers, like that. So I have a little bundle, like so. I'm just gonna tie this on top. And this is just to increase the size of the tag, and it's to make the illusion that the hackle is more dense in the back here. It's gonna stitch just fly together, just like that. Then I have to tie in my my ribbing material. I'm just gonna use some nylon power flakes in 3X. I wouldn't go much thicker than 3X because it's just gonna be too prominent on the fly. Just gonna cut it off. And for tying that in, I'm just gonna use this half hitch, simple half hitch at the end of it. Straighten it out, like so. So you can see I have a little knot here, and this is what's gonna cause the friction, and if I tie this in strong enough, it's not gonna roll anywhere. So I'm just gonna tie it in, pull this in the knot, and I'm just gonna tie on both sides. So if this rib wants to go anywhere now, it has to draw this knot through the tying thread, and that's not gonna happen. So this is really nice and secured now. I don't have to go forward and back with the ribbing, making unnecessary material stuck up on my fly. And this ribbing is really slippery, and if you just go back and forth like you normally would, if you pull this too hard, it is gonna find its way through the materials because it's just gonna lift up the thread. So this is a really nice, needed way of tying this in. When we have that in place, we're gonna use another hackle. This is the Palmer hackle, and I'm gonna use a slightly smaller hackle than is used on the original haythief because I don't need this long fibers on this fly because I have a foam back, and it would just make it a lot more difficult. So here I have my hackle. You can see the length here. It's approximately the same length as the rest of the materials go out from the fly, so I have some uniformity. And I'm just gonna take these fluffy fibers in the back here, trim those off, and just cut the excess. And this is gonna be my tying point. You can see the feather has this natural curve to it, and this curve is gonna follow my fly. So I'm gonna use this. This is actually the upside of the feather, and this is the upside. This is the what do you call that? The blank side of the feather. The side of the feather I want to be outside. So this inside is more matte to it. I want to place this in towards the feather, towards the fly. So I'm just gonna pull it on the side here, and just tie it in, secure it. You don't want this to go anywhere either. There we go. And then I'm gonna use some dubbing for the body. I'm just gonna use SLF in tan. And because I have my materials already creating this kind of a tapered effect, I'm not gonna have to use as much dubbing. So I'm just gonna take it little by little. And by no means do I think this could be covered by a single strand of dubbing here. So I'm just gonna take it little by little, starting up all the way up where I tied in all the other materials. And the reason I'm not using a dubbing loop for this dubbing is I want the exact proportions right, and I think it's easier just to finicky a little dubbing at a time like this. Making sure I keep this taper on a little more here. There we go. You can see the neat taper. I'm gonna take my hackle clamp and clip this hackle, clamp down on the hackle, and I'm just gonna use it to, first off I'm just gonna take a little bit of saliva and just pulling some of these hackle fibers back. This is gonna create an effect that's gonna catch the minimum of hackle fibers. And I'm just gonna use it to firstly create a collar here where I don't go forward on the first turn, just to make sure I have this evenly distributed hackle around here. And then when I come back to the starting point, I'm just gonna start going forward. I'm gonna aim for roughly 5 or 6 turns here. 3, 4, 5 and a half, I guess. Tie it off at the eye. Like so. Pulling the fiber back and the feather. There we go. Cutting off the excess here. And now we have to create this foam back. And what I'm going to do here is going to take a 3mm sheet of foam. And then I'm going to take a scissor. A large scissor. Because if I cut it with a small fly tying scissor, I would have to cut multiple times to get all the way down this foam. And no matter how good I am, it's always going to do these nicks and different width. And so having a larger scissor is really easy, and just making it taper slightly is way more fun. So see, you just cut one piece there, cut it off at the top, and then you have this piece of foam that's tapered all the way down. I'm just gonna take the biggest part up here and just take a little off. You see it a little wide, because if you take this and make it too wide, it's just gonna fold around the fly and just gonna pinch all the materials at the bottom. But before I put this in, I'm just gonna take my dubbing brush here and just gonna ever so slightly pull out some of this dubbing. But in the meantime, I'm also gonna take all this hackle fibers on the top and put them down to make this sideburn. What do you call it? Hair that split down the middle like a 90s TV sitcom or something like that. Taking a little saliva and just pulling down the hackle fibers. So now you can see I have all the hackle fibers on, approximately at least, on the bottom of the fly. And I can just place down this foam very neatly. So using the same technique as I did with my hackle, I'm just gonna place this in, just ever so slightly. I'm using this ledge here as kind of an indicator just behind the eyes. Then I'm gonna take my rib here, and I'm gonna take a turn that's just straight over the fly. Not starting to go forward yet, because this is just to place down and kind of make the placement right. And this is a little finicky. I'm just pulling downward as I'm trying to find the placement of this foam back, because I want to slide with the tension of the thread, so I'm just gonna have to adjust it a little bit. Then I'm gonna have this nice and secure. I'm just gonna take it forward a couple millimeters and take it over, and I'm gonna start to make these body segment here. And I'm gonna go for approximately 4 or 5 of these, making them ever so slightly smaller as we go forward. There we go. If this is really hard for you, you might want to consider using a hackle needle just to guide the hackle fibers through. It's a little short. There we go. 5 turns all the way at the hook eye. I'm just gonna take the thread around this rib a couple of times, fold this back, and just place it down here. Do it again. So I'm sure this rib is kind of intertwined with my tying thread, and it's never gonna go anywhere. I would use a little bit of sapper gap at this tying in point, because this is definitely gonna be the weakest point of the fly when it's finished. So If you want to have a few more trips out of your fly, just give it a little bit of trim. And then I'm gonna take this tag here. I'm just gonna feel the hook eye. You can actually hear it. Just cutting it all the way down, like that. Then I'm gonna take my thread. I'm gonna whip finish here. 1, 2. Just gonna do one more. Tying off the excess, cutting off the excess thread here. And there we go. And you can take this scissor and just kind of taper this a little more, just taking off the edges like that. And this is a really neat fly that's gonna have this really erratic movement in the water. In Denmark we fish it on a fast intermediate line, or Troels the inventor does. So you're gonna have the line is gonna pull down the fly, and then the foam is gonna make it kind of like wibble to the top. This is really effective, especially for lazy fish that you can't really get to take. So here it was, the høtyv with a foam back. As you can see, it's quite an easy tie. I think the biggest hurdle on this fly is making this foam look nice, because it's a very thick foam, and if you don't cut it into the right size, it can be a little overpowering, or it can fall down on the side of the fly. So it's a little finicky in that, but other than that, it's quite an easy tie, and I think it has a lot of application, not only for sea trout at home, but also for bonefish tied upside down with some dumbbells or something. It's a really nice flats fly as well. Of course, on a more powerful hook as well. Of course, you can find the whole material kit and all the individual material at NordicAngler.com. There's the links in the description. But I hope you enjoyed it. Remember to subscribe and follow us, and stay tuned for more, and we'll see you in the next video.